Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, May 31st. There's a little over 400 albums coming out this week. I got 12 on my list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, there's about 400 albums coming out this week. I'm only going to talk about 12 on the show though today, so if there's something I don't talk about, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. And like always, if you're unable to find these in your local brick and mortar stores, they should all be available online. I'll put links down below in the comment section for them. So the big release for me this week is going to be this new Black Sabbath box set, Anno Domini, 1989 to 1995. It's a 4 LP box set. It's going to run you around $100 online. This is being released to celebrate the Tony Martin era of Black Sabbath. This is a box set that was announced last year. I think it was like earlier last year when this thing was announced. Finally getting released this week. So you're getting 4 of the 5 Tony Martin albums in this box set. You got Headless Cross from 1989, Tear from 1990, Cross Purposes from 94, and then Forbidden from 1995. The one album that's missing from this box set is Eternal Idol. I know it was the last album that Black Sabbath released through Warner, so I don't know if there's like some kind of like label issue with that album. Hopefully we'll get a reissue of that album eventually also, because all the Tony Martin albums have been long out of print. The 4 that are included in this box set are all newly remastered. So like I said, I'd love to get a copy of Eternal Idol also. Hopefully, eventually down the line, that'll get released. Like I said, these have all been long out of print. I'm a huge Black Sabbath fan, and I didn't really get into the Tony Martin stuff until I'd say within the last several years. I've always been a bigger Ozzy Sabbath fan, but and it took me a long time to get into the Dio stuff also. And like once I got into Dio, I started checking out all the other stuff from Black Sabbath, especially from the late '80s, early part of the '90s. So like I said, definitely what I'm looking forward to grabbing this week. You also got Joan, Jett, and the Blackhearts greatest hits coming out. So this was released back in 2019. It's going to run you around $22 online. This is a compilation from across Joan Jett's career. It's got all of her big tracks on here. It does have some stuff on here from the Runaways also. So Joan Jett's kind of interesting because she's had, I think, 2 other greatest hits compilations released over the years with very kind of similar-ish kind of track listings on here. I know this one, like I said, this one was just released back in 2019. It was released on colored vinyl. I think I've got it on red vinyl, I think. So this is the first time it's been available on black. Joan Jett's one of those interesting artists where I probably don't have to have everything from her catalog, even though she has some great music, and she's got some great music that's not included on this greatest hits. It's got most of what I want to hear from Joan Jett on there. So this is one of those artists where I'm probably fine just having a greatest hits compilation. Speaking of greatest hits compilations, there's a new one coming out this week from Cyndi Lauper. This is Let the Canary Sing. So this is going to run you around $27 online. This is a compilation of all the best tracks from across her legendary career. So I've got She's So Unusual, which is her debut album. I got the Mo-Fi version of that. I don't think I have a copy of True Colors. I need to get a copy of that also. But like outside of her first 2 albums, I don't think I've listened to a whole lot of the stuff throughout her career. So she's definitely one of those artists I need to go back through and check out again. I'd probably be good picking up a greatest hits compilation like this. But my question is about this. So as I was going down through the track listing on here, I see a lot of them say, Let the Canary Sing edit. So I don't know if, I guess I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see what the reviews say about this. I don't know if these are different than the original album versions. I'm assuming because they say Let the Canary Sing edit on there that they are. And if that's the case, I'll probably just, pick up a different Grace Hits compilation from her, or just pick up more of her albums. I'm not a huge fan when they're like editing and cutting down songs and taking things out. I want to hear it the way it was originally intended to be listened to. So you got that one coming out this week, and then you got Hall & Oates, Abandoned Luncheonette coming out. This was released back in '73. It was their second studio album. It's going to run you around $38 online. This is a Friday music release. So Friday music releases tend to be a little bit more, but they got a nicer presentation to them. So this is being billed as a 50th anniversary release, which I know was last year. It's on translucent red vinyl. So Hall & Oates, their debut album when it was released, it was really kind of ignored. I don't think it charted at all. I don't think I know a single song off of their debut album either. So when they went out to record this album, they moved from Philly to New York. I think the change in scenery helped them a little bit in the writing process. This is the album that made them kind of I shouldn't say big, but it was definitely their breakthrough album. Hit number 33 or 34, I think, on the Billboard charts. But it wasn't like the Billboard 200. I think it was like the Billboard LP and cassette sales chart, which, there's literally hundreds of different Billboard charts on here, but at least this one did chart for them. Like I said, it's an album that I haven't listened to in a long time. I think She's Gone was the only big track off of this one, but, like I said, I know that one song, but I need to go back through and kind of check out the rest of it. There's also the new album Crowded House coming out this week. This is Gravity Stairs. It's their 8th studio album. It's going to be on blue and white swirl vinyl. Going to run you around $30 online. The cool thing is about this album is the cover art is an homage to, of course, the great classic Beatles album Revolver, which is, probably one of my top 2 or 3 Beatles albums. But to be honest, with when it comes to Crowded House, I didn't even know they were still a band. I didn't even know they were still releasing music. I haven't listened to anything that the band has done since, I think, their first 2 albums. I like both of their first 2 albums. Didn't really listen to anything past that. So they're definitely one of those bands that I'll stream the new album this week and maybe probably go back through and stream some of the other stuff that they've done throughout their career. So you got that coming out this week. And then you got Nat King Cole live at the Blue Note Chicago. So this is going to run you around $50 online. So this is a Record Store Day 2024. It was the RSD First this year. It's getting reissued. If you don't know, RSD Firsts are like, it comes out on Record Store Day, and then eventually, typically within several months, it'll get reissued. But this is a really cool recording. So this is all, up until Record Store Day this year, this had never been released before. These are all live recordings from his Blue Note Chicago residency back in 1953. It's really cool to kind of go through here, at least for the reviews I've read of the RSD release, because I think there's only 2 tracks of this that are available on streaming services. But it's kind of cool. But from what I read of the reviews, it's like you're sitting there listening to this in 53. It sounds absolutely beautiful. It sounds like a really great live performance, a really great live recording. But the big thing is with me, this thing is going to run you about $50 online. I think I don't know how many tracks are on here. So there's 14 tracks on this one LP version. That's going to run you $50. On the same day, so this coming Friday, that this gets released on vinyl, it's also going to be released on streaming services, and it's going to have 27 tracks. Like, if you're going to charge $50 for that, just do all 27 tracks. Put another LP on there. Heck, even add a third LP if you really need to. And just release the entire recording and not just a piece of it. That's the kind of thing that kind of irritates me a little bit, but it's definitely what I'm looking forward to. I'll at least stream it this Friday. $50 if I can grab it on sale somewhere, maybe I'll grab a copy of it. The next album is one that I feel is really kind of, as great as this band's 80s albums were, I feel like it kind of gets lost in the mix, even though I definitely think it's equal to a lot of other stuff they did in that decade. But this is Fables of the Reconstruction by R.E.M. This was released back in 1985. It was their 3rd studio album. It's going to run you around $28 online. So this album was a little bit different. So I forgot who produced the first 2 albums from R.E.M., but they decided to go with Joe Boyd with this album. And very famously, the band did not get along with him. There's a lot of tension that created within the band, and surprisingly, it didn't really impact the recording process. This is one of those albums where it doesn't have a huge hit on it, but it's a really solid album. There's not a bad track from beginning to end on it. And like I said, when it comes to like 80s R.E.M. albums, it's definitely one I put up there. And like I said, it gets lost a lot when you talk about like Document and some of the other stuff that the band did in the 80s and early part of the 90s. So you got that getting reissued this week. And then you also got the reissue of Mothership by Gavin Dance coming out. This was released back in 2016. It was their 7th studio album. It's going to run you $24 online. So this is an interesting band because they're kind of like this like post-hardcore band. They've been around for almost 20 years now. They've released 10 studio albums, I think. And before like 6 months ago, I'd never heard of the band. So this was actually the album that I first listened to. I don't even remember, it like popped up on Apple Music, and I was like, what is this? And I think a couple of songs came up on a playlist I was listening to. So that's why I listened to a couple of songs off this album. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And I started digging a little bit deeper into the band. This is an album that, I'd probably put somewhere in the middle of their discography, but it's a great album to start out with if you're just getting into the band, I think. There's also a reissue coming out this week that might go down as having the most disgusting album cover of all time, especially with this version of it. But this is Origin of the Feces by Typo Negative, released back in 1992. It was their 2nd studio album. Of course, it's going to be on brown vinyl. Why not? This is a 2 LP release. It's going to run you around $48 online. Of course, Typo Negative, they're the goth / thrash icons. This is actually the album that I first learned about the band. It was like, this came out, what did I say, 92 when this came out, so it was probably 93 or 94 the first time I heard it, and I was like, what is this? And it's a really interesting album. It's not my favorite kind of music, but it's not one I go back to very often, but it's definitely one I need to go back through and listen to, because it's been probably 20 years since I listened to it. So the interesting thing about this release, it was never available here in the U.S., at least it wasn't pressed in the U.S. on vinyl until 2022. This is a reissue of that 2022 release. It has the censored album cover. It's got a removable sticker on there, which is scratch and sniff. I don't want to scratch it. I don't want to sniff it, to be honest with you. It's an interesting release. I definitely will say that. As gross as it is, they definitely did a good job with this release. I will say this does have a good cover of Paranoid on there, which wasn't available on the original release. I think it was on the 94 reissue. It's been on all the versions since 94. So that one's going to be on this release also. So you got that coming out this week. You also got a reissue of Live and Deadly by Lita Ford coming out this week. This was released back in 2014. This is a live album recorded in 2000. It wasn't, like I said, wasn't released until 2014 though. So it's going to be on purple vinyl. It's going to run you around $24 online. I'm not exactly sure where this was recorded at though. According to the release, it says it was recorded at one of Lita's favorite watering holes. This was reissued in 2022. I think it's still pretty readily available, that version of it. That version is also on purple vinyl, so this is a reissue of that reissue. When it comes to Lita's music, what I'm really waiting to get reissued is Lita, which came out in, 88 or 89? That was the album that had Close My Eyes Forever on there. It's a great track. It's a great album also. Hopefully, with this getting reissued, maybe we'll eventually see that one get reissued also. You got the 10-year anniversary edition of The Raven That Refused to Sing coming out this week, even though I know the 10th anniversary was last year. This is it's an album by Steven Wilson, was released in 2013. It was his third studio album. It's going to run you about $50 online. It is a 2 LP release. Keep in mind that this is on glow-in-the-dark vinyl. I know glow-in-the-dark vinyl has a really poor reputation. I picked up the Misfits Collection 1 RSD Essentials release that came out earlier this year. That's on glow-in-the-dark vinyl. It sounds great though, so I don't know if they've changed something with the way they do glow-in-the-dark albums, but definitely I'll read the reviews before you grab a copy of this one. So, of course, Steven Wilson, arguably one of the best progressive rock musicians of his generation. This is a really interesting album. Even though I'm not a big fan of his music, I just started getting into him, I think, probably over the last year and a half. This is really interesting. This album is kind of built around these themes of ghost stories and the supernatural. It's really cool. It comes with the 8-page booklet. The album is engineered by Alan Parsons, of course, known for outside the Alan Parsons Project, but he was also the engineer on The Dark Side of the Moon. So, it's definitely one to kind of go back through if you're a progressive rock fan and haven't listened to it in a long time. And last on the list is a reissue of Crooked Boy by Ringo Starr. It's going to run you around $23 online. So this is a reissue of the RSD release that came out earlier this year. The RSD release, I think, was on black and white vinyl. This is just on standard black vinyl coming out this week. This is a 4-song EP. It's produced by Linda Perry from Four Non Blondes, of course. I think Linda Perry actually wrote all 4 of the songs up. This is some of the best stuff that I think Ringo Starr has done in years. And I've never been a big fan of Ringo's solo material, but I really love this one. This is one that I'll probably end up grabbing because I don't have a copy of it. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. Like I said, I got that Black Sabbath Anno Domini on pre-order already. I might grab that Cyndi Lauper Greatest Hits compilation, depending on what the reviews say about that one. I might grab that Nat King Cole also if I can grab that on sale somewhere. I probably will grab that Ringo Starr. Like I said, fantastic EP from Ringo. But let me know what you guys are looking forward to grabbing this week. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.